Hey, how's it going, y'all? So we've got my 5-team video for the beginning of Series 11, and definitely got some pretty interesting stuff prepared for y'all, so I do hope that you enjoy, because I know that these videos generally get a little bit more viewage than some of my other videos. We do have the same QOTD from a video or two ago, because I definitely do want your guys' input on this. So, I've had the same background for X amount of time, but it is not the only background that I've ever had. So I'll show you guys the old background and see what you think. This was my other background. It's nice, I'm not gonna lie, it's definitely nice. And we also have this background but in tan. So if you like one of these other backgrounds more than my current background, definitely let me know, and maybe I'll think about switching back to it for a little bit. So my first team is actually a team that I built for hitting 150 subs. So in my Discord, which you can feel free to join if you didn't know I have a Discord, it'll be in the description. We talked about, for me hitting 150 subs, we would celebrate by me making a Kanto team for Series 11. So I originally built a Venusaur Charizard as boys team, and it just was way too reliant on the interplay between the pieces, and in the end the output was not really as much as I would have liked. I felt like I was able to lose really quickly under certain conditions. So I tried building a new team, and I actually like this team a lot more, honestly. It's pretty odd looking, but it can definitely do stuff. So let's talk about it. So we've got weakness policy Mewtwo with modest nature. So it's got a lot of output. It's got Shadow Ball, Side Strike, Recover, and Energy Ball. I think my idea behind using Side Strike was that, when you undynamax, you can technically do a lot of damage against things like Kyogre, but I mean, you'll still get more use out of Energy Ball. So maybe I will fix that, and I will have to make it, Expanding Force or Psychic. I actually think Expanding Force will probably be my best option, but that does rely on you Dynamaxing it, so we'll see. We will definitely see. Recover to help, deal with needing health back, and Energy Ball to deal with Kyogre and Groudon. So Energy Ball is your great answer to those two legendaries. Max Mindstorm can actually one-shot a Charizard, Dynamax Charizard with weakness policy activated, so you don't really have to worry about not having Max Lightning and stuff like that, even though it might be nice to have. Something else that we are running on this team is Pataya Berry Fling Raichu. So I thought about doing the Lansat Berry and we got critical hit ratio raised, but when I really thought about it, I think Fling Pataya Berry supports this team a little bit better in ways. I guess it doesn't really support Snorlax, but if you're gonna go for Dynamax Snorlax, you probably want Mewtwo and Vaporeon in the back instead of Raichu. Raichu can work, but it's not putting that much offensive power off. So if you're gonna go for the Snorlax side of the team, you're probably not bringing Raichu, honestly. You could nuzzle things to death, though. That's another story. So what was I saying? Yeah, so you can fling the Pataya Berry onto Mewtwo, and you can get +3 on your weakness policy proc, which, you know, it's definitely pretty scary. We also have Life Orb Vaporeon, which honestly, like, yeah, you could argue for Lapras, there's no lying about that, but, like, Vaporeon is a very chunky boy, and it has more offensive power than Lapras, so, like, in that sense, Vaporeon is a little bit better than Lapras, but as per usual, if you know, have any suggestions for my team, and you think, hey, like, I actually do think that you should use Lapras instead of Vaporeon, and I mean, I guess I would use, like, Dark Pulse, Ice Beam, and, like, Hydro Pump or something, as my, you know, 3 moves. Definitely let me know if you think I should use Life Orb Lapras instead of Vaporeon, but Vaporeon definitely has the tech. It's very bulky, it has more offensive power, and that was really my mindset, and it's a Vaporeon, so, like, you know what I mean? But the Veils from Lapras is definitely something that would be, you know, arguable, and, you know, people might expect that I could be running weakness policy Lapras on this team, so there is that. Like I said, we have the Pataiberry Raichu with Nuzzle, Fling, Fake Out, and Volt Switch. Kind of just, you know, standard moveset for a Raichu plus Fling. Then we have Aerodactyl Focus Sash with Tailwind, Protect, Stone Edge, and Bite. So I definitely thought about running Crunch, I'm not gonna lie. The problem is Mewtwo takes significantly more damage from Crunch than from Bite, so in, like, a self-proccing sense, Bite is better than Crunch. The downside is that Crunch can actually one-shot a Calyrex Shadow, and Bite cannot. So you're at a bit of a disbenefit with that, and I think, like, in that sense, you could argue for Crunch over Bite, but I mean, for self-proccing reasons, Bite is better, so there's definitely give and take there. And the reason why I'm running, like, Protect on Vaporeon and, like, Protect on Aerodactyl instead of, like, Yawn Vaporeon and Wide Guard Aerodactyl is just that in a long game, being able to protect the two of them actually gets you pretty far. Then we've got Clefairy to support, you know, pretty much everyone, but also to help set up Snorlax. Moonblast, Helping Hand, Protect, and Follow Me. Helping Hand actually comes in clutch pretty significantly in multiple situations, like with Mewtwo and with Snorlax, because Snorlax can actually one-shot a Dynamax Calyrex Ice with a Helping Hand G-Max Replenish, so you do have that. And the Snorlax moveset being Body Slam, Darkest Lariat, Belly Drum, and High Horsepower is pretty standard, honestly. It helps deal with Zacian, helps deal with Calyrex Shadow, so it deals with the more annoying things in the meta that you know, will need a little bit more damage output in certain ways instead of just clicking, like, G-Max Replenish over and over again, which is a fair way to play, no one's gonna lie about that, but let's move on to the next team. So this next team is one of the teams that I completely made new. I have 2 teams that I'm kind of, like, reusing from Series 8. I have one team that I adapted from an old team and made it newer, and then I have you know, 2 completely new teams. So this is one of the completely new teams aside from the Kanto team. So this is actually a weakness policy Super Luck Togekiss team. And so we've got Dazzling Gleam, Follow Me, Air Slash, and Yawn, where, you know, Togekiss can provide very decent support with Follow Me and Yawn, but it can also be a very threatening Dynamax. So that's pretty dope. We've got Hitmontop, which actually can't protect, which I think there's give and take for, like, The benefit is that if you need to get someone else in, you can, like, you know, get someone else in quicker. But if you want to do intimidate cycling things, you're probably just going to be switching it in and out. So we've got triple axle, fake out, bullet punch, and mach punch. All the boys. But you can bullet punch self-proc toe Gekis, which is, you know, really the nice thing about it. And I don't really think you want all priority moves in case someone sets up like Psychic Terrain or something, but I mean, on Psychic Terrain you probably don't even want him on top on the field, right? So there's that. But, you know, people, I highly doubt Quick Guard is going to be as often in this meta, but like, I guess, like, you can do that. Then we've got Zacian with a pretty, it's a bulky set, but besides that, it's decently standard, like Ironhead, Sword Stance, Protect, and Sacred Sword. And we're actually running Adamant Zacian. So this Zacian's got a lot of attacking power, but it also has Sword Stance. So that's another way that you can, you know, benefit this team with the support of Togekiss. You can click like follow me Sword Stance and then, you know, make Zacian even scarier than it already is. We've also got Life Orb Physical Regieleki with Wild Charge, Bounce, still Electro Web because you want it to be able to support in that way sometimes, like it's actually really important. And then Assurance. Assurance is really only useful for Calyrex Shadow, and I mean we do have Urshifu, but like, so I definitely had a hard time choosing between Assurance and Extreme Speed, but Regieleki is so fast that, like, you know, it's probably fine. Like, but again, if that's one of the adjustments that you think I should make, you know, let me know. I could consider putting Extreme Speed back on in replace for like Bounce or Assurance, but another thing that you can do is if you're facing an opposing Regieleki and you want to make Zacian faster than Regieleki, you know, you can like Protect and Dynamax Max Airstream, and you'll get, you know, a decent bit out of that. Even though, you know, technically Max Strike would do more to an opposing Regieleki than Max Airstream, but Zacian can OHKO after a tiny bit of chip with Behemoth Blade, so it's, I mean, you're not getting the extra damage is fine, and Max Airstream is better matched up against like Venusaur and stuff like that, so you do have that going for you. Then we have Urshifu Dark on this team with Wicked Blow, close, it's standard, like Sucker Punch, Close Combat, Protect instead of Detect because it has more PP, honestly, like that's the only reason. And yeah, it's you know, it's decent on this team. I don't know what necessarily you're really trying to beat with it besides like Calyrex Shadows and Indeedee and stuff, but it definitely comes in clutch. Then we have Melodic with you know, Wide Lens, Muddy Water, Recover, Hypnosis, and Icy Wind to provide more like support but also offense, because if somebody does make the mistake of bringing a Landorus or a Incineroar, you will destroy them with Melodic. So, you know, you can ward off attack lowerings that way, and it's a really good Dynamax if it does get the competitive boost proc. Like, you can try to call that someone's gonna use like Max Darkness or something and like switch Melodic in to get the competitive boost and then just go from there, assuming that it's not going to get hit by it and take mad damage. But, you know, there's definitely ways to play with Melodic that can be very scary. So all in all, a really fun team. It does need to look out for like electric moves and fairy moves, but we have ways of dealing with those things. So, you know, you just kind of pick and choose who you want to play with at the moment and prepare accordingly, right? That's what you do with anything. Next is this is one of the completely recycled teams, just with like a minor tweak to it. So this is my Porygon Z Yveltal team. So this was actually originally a Series 7 team that I used, where I had, or maybe it was Series 7, where I had Weakness Policy Celesteela on the team, and you would proc that with like Volt Switch Raichu. But I do actually really like this as an Yveltal team as well. You could definitely argue for Sucker Punch on Cinderace, but if you really want to do something like stop a Stack Attacker from setting up, High Jump Kick is going to be one of your best answers for that. And also, I mean, Stack Attackers are probably going to be running Shuckle Berry again instead of Chople Berry, so you will, have that going for you. And maybe you could argue taking off Iron Head, but Iron Head is really good for facing like Clefairy and Xerneas and stuff like that, so I think it should be fine not having Sucker Punch on Cinderace. This is actually a slow variant Cinderace, so not like slow, but it's Adamant Nature instead of like Jolly or whatever the minus special attack raise speed nature is. And my thought process on that is just that, because we're not running Life Orb on Cinderace, it does really benefit from that extra attacking power. And I mean, we have Tailwind anyways, so we're not like that worried about it. So, it should be fun. Moving on from Cinderace, which we all know is, it's a threatening Pokemon. Like, it does a lot of damage. But then we've got Rillaboom with Assault Vest, which is pretty standard. Grassy Glide, High Horsepower, Knockoff, and Fake Out. So High Horsepower does allow you to deal with like Zacian if you want to use Rillaboom against Zacian, because Rillaboom really doesn't take that much damage from most of Zacian's moves. So it's a really good answer to Zacian. And Knockoff also allows you to deal with Calyrex Shadow, and just take items away from your Pokemon or your opponent, which can be really annoying for them. So, we got Rillaboom and Cinderace. Then we have Charm, Volt Switch, Fake Out, and Nuzzle on this Raichu with Air Balloon. And, I mean, yeah, you just kind of want the sash on Whimsicott, honestly. So, it's Air Balloon Raichu. And unfortunately, that does mean that you're not always going to be able to use Raichu to self-proc Yveltal, but I gave my Whimsicott Moonblast to help deal with that as well. So we've got Moonblast, Tailwind, Protect, and Fake Tears on Whimsicott, which really allows you to benefit Yveltal and Porygon Z quite heavily. So, I mean, you've got, Dark Pulse now on Porygon Z, which it didn't used to have, but I think benefits it pretty heavily since it is a special attacker, and you also have Yveltal to use Dark Aura, or Dark Aura ability to benefit. So you can use Fake Tears and pretty much just OHKO anything with Max Strike. I am using Hyper Beam instead of Tri-Attack, which also means that Porygon Z can pretty much just wipe things out even if you don't Dynamax it, which is, it's definitely nice. No one's gonna say it's not. Then we have Weakness Policy Yveltal with Oblivion Wing, Dark Pulse, Sucker Punch, and Protect. I did originally think about using Heat Wave instead of Sucker Punch, but I think a weakness policy activated Sucker Punch can be ridiculously good. And I mean, just kind of having priority moves in general can be ridiculously good. So we've got that going for us. And Moonblast, I do have a little bit of special attack investment in my Whimsicott, but Moonblast, if you do want to self-proc Yveltal, should only do like 15 to 20%. So I mean, it will definitely do some. Like Volt Switch is the better self-proc, but because it is Air Balloon Raichu, like, you can't always rely on it, especially if someone has, like, you know, Zacian or, like, Dynamax Venusaur or something, like, can pretty much just one-shot Raichu. So, like, you do have Moonblast for the self-proc, and I think it can, you know, it can definitely provide some versatility. So, there is that. Then we've got another team which I'm pretty much just move for move taking from Series 8. This is the team that I used in Players Cup 4, and I did well enough to top cut, but I ended up, like, I didn't realize I did well enough to top cut, and I tried playing a few more, and I went on like a bad losing streak right at the end, which was pretty unfortunate. But also I've been having trouble linking my Trainers Club account to my Switch, so like even if I had top cut, I wouldn't have gotten to go to it. Like, I'm gonna have to make a whole new email to do it, because like of all these shenanigans that went on with my Trainers Club account. Like, I don't even know. But moving on, we've got Slowbro with Oblivious and Focus Sash, which is really just a great Trick Room setter. We don't have Trick Room on Calyrex, which I know might feel awkward, because it's like, you only have one Trick Room setter, like, how are you gonna survive? But I do think that in a long game, having Protect on Calyrex is really important. Like, important enough to argue, you know, actually using Protect instead of having Trick Room as your fourth move. But again, if you think I should make any adjustment in that nature, feel free to let me know in the comments and I will think about it. So one of the main leads on this team is definitely Slowbro Wigglytuff, where, you know, people might want to lead like Incineroar to try to intimidate Calyrex or Mudsdale, but you can get the competitive boost on Wigglytuff. And when that happens, they're a lot more likely to try to fake out Wigglytuff instead of Slowbro. So if your opponent leads Fake Out, that is a situation where you do not click Ally Switch. And you just kind of think to yourself, like, okay, well, like, if they're gonna Fake Out, they can only Fake Out one of us, and then next turn I can go for Ally Switch. But oftentimes you are gonna just click Ally Switch Trick Room, and it's a really great way to get this team set up, because not only does Slowbro have Focus Sash, and like, people are probably not gonna double target Wigglytuff unless they really expect it, but the things that are super effective on Slowbro are not very effective on Wigglytuff, and the things that are super effective on Wigglytuff are not very effective on Slowbro. So, you know, you do have a really good synergy in that sense, and Ally Switch Trick Room is very threatening. And it's a great way to set the team up, like I said. So, I mean, you can also do things like lead a more threatening lead, and you can lead like Torkoal Slowbro or like Calyrex Slowbro, and basically make them feel like they can't really double target Slowbro without being punished heavily. So, you know, you can set up Trick Room in that way too. We've got Psychic, Muddy Water, and Flamethrower actually on this Slowbro, and we have Dazzling Gleam and Hyper Voice on Wigglytuff. There's definitely argument for, you know, like it could be nice to have like Ice Beam or Flamethrower, but this moveset works very well, especially if you get a competitive boost. And, you know, it also wards away your opponent using, you know, moves that would set off the competitive boost, like Max Darkness, Max Phantasm, and things like that. Then we've got Assault Vest Mudsdale, which, you know, it can get defense boosts every time it takes an attack, but Assault Vest benefits it just as much or more. And, I wouldn't say or more, but, you know, I'm just talking, you know. But, so we've got Rock Slide, Earthquake, Body Press, and Iron Head. So the more defense boost this thing gets, the better its body presses are going to be. And that's a really nice thing about it. But Mudsdale is a very threatening Pokemon, and you can't really deny that. So it's a double pony team. It's double ponies. That's what we like to see. Put Calyrex on the Mudsdale. Oh, if only. So Mudsdale has a really good synergy with Vikavolt, because, you know, you can use Earthquake when it's next to Vikavolt, and it doesn't really take any, it has Levitate, so you can't get hit by the Earthquake. You know, Earthquake won't really do that much to Slowbro, won't really do that much to Calyrex, so, like, you have a lot of situations where you can actually click Earthquake, and I do like that quite a lot. Then we've got Life Orb Vikavolt, which is one of the most powerful Trick Room Pokemon there is, so that's really nice. I did have to give up Energy Ball in order to be able to run Protect, because I originally didn't have Protect on Vikavolt, but I don't really think that's the best way to run it. So, unfortunately, yeah, we did have to give up Energy Ball, which makes dealing with things like Gastrodon a little bit harder, but I think this team should have ways to deal with Gastrodon even without it. Like, you can technically just click Bug Buzz and, like, lower its special attack so much that, like, yeah, it can recover, but what's it really doing? So you do have that. Sorry, I just got the hiccups for a second. But Vikavolt's a very powerful Pokemon, and it can pick up Okos on just so many things. One of your things that you can do is, if you're facing a Calyrex Ice, you can actually start Wigglytuff Vikavolt, and Helping Hand Max Flutterby can guaranteed Oko a Calyrex Ice even if it Dynamaxes. So you do have that going for you. Then we have Weakness Policy Calyrex, which is a very big threat. And, you know, high horsepower, heavy slam, glacial haunts. It's the tech, you know, it's definitely the tech, and Calyrex is a really threatening Pokemon, so this team definitely revolves around, like, just setting up Trick Room and kind of sweeping your opponent, but it can definitely work, you know, it can definitely work. Then we've got Torkoal, which it might seem kinda odd to run Sun on a Calyrex team. I thought about replacing Torkoal with Stakataka, but I do quite like the idea of having Torkoal because it can really put your opponent in some rough positions. So we've got Charcoal Torkoal with Earth Power, Eruption, Protect, and Heat Wave. So all over some pretty scary stuff on this Trick Room team, and it's fun. It's definitely fun. Alright, last team is, you know, Ogres have layers. So we've got a recreation of my Kangaskhan Kyogre team with, you know, some new parts that I'm hoping can make it a little bit better. So originally I had Mantine as to replace Whimsicott, and I had Urshifu to replace Moltres. And I think the one disbenefit about running Whimsicott over Mantine is that, you know, you don't have Wide Guard anymore, but you do have a second way to self-proc Moltres, which I do like. And, sorry, you also have Fake Tears. So, because you have Fake Tears, you can do things like Fake Tears Water Spout, and just do fat damage. So you might do like Tailwind Protect on turn 1, Fake Tears Water Spout on turn 2, and what are they really going to do about it? We do have Thunder on Kyogre, as well as having Lightning Rod Raichu, so like, you do have to be careful about when you use Thunder, but it works. You could also argue for running Scald over Origin Pulse, but I think this is kind of a good way to run it, honestly. So, going back to the beginning, we have Nasty Plot, Weakness Policy Moltres with Fiery Wrath and Hurricane, which, you know, it gets benefited by Drizzle, but it's just a very threatening Pokemon, and it also can lower their special defense, which benefits Kyogre again, which is, you know, definitely what you like to see. We've, of course, got the Focus Sash Whimsicott with Moonblast, Tailwind Protect, and Fake Tears, again, just being another way to self-proc Moltres, and Moltres should take actually a little bit less damage than Yveltal on a Moonblast, but ideally, you know, you probably want to self-proc with Volt Switch, like, it's just better that way, but it's not always going to be the most practical way to do it. So, you know, we've got two ways to self-proc, same Raichu, with, you know, Lightning Rod this time benefiting Kyogre instead of like Vaporeon. And then we have Kangaskhan with Silk Scarf Scrappy. So something you can do is, if you're facing a Dusclops, you can lead Kangaskhan Kyogre, Dynamax Kyogre, and just click Fake Out Max Geyser, and you will guaranteed one-shot get rid of the Dusclops, which is really nice. Whereas if you don't click Fake Out, you will probably leave the Dusclops at like 5%, which is not really great, but I mean, you could technically lead like Moltres Kyogre and still deal with it that way, you know, so there is that. Then we have Life Orb Metagross. So, you know, we're kind of playing a dicey game here. Who has the weakness policy? Is it Metagross? Is it Moltres? It's Moltres. But Life Orb Metagross actually does pack quite a punch. I decided last minute to go with Rock Slide over Ice Beam, or I mean Ice Punch. And my real idea with that is that, like, you know, if somebody sets up the Sun and has Charizard, I mean, like, yeah, your better Dynamax is technically Kyogre, and, like, Metagross doesn't really like Precipice Blades or Max Fire, so, like, you don't really want Metagross out against a Groudon Charizard setup anyways. But, like, something you can do is you can Dynamax Metagross and, you know, click Max Rockfall, and you can get rid of Charizard while switching Kyogre in to get the Drizzle and reduce the effectiveness of the, you know, the Max Flare. And I mean, like, if they expect Metagross to have weakness policy, they might not even go for that anyways, so, like, you do have that going for you. And I do think this is a pretty good Metagross set. You also have things like switching in Moltres on a on a ground move if you really need to. So like, and Raichu technically because it has Air Balloon. But I do really like this team quite a lot. You definitely could argue that like not having Wide Guard will disbenefit me at times, but like, you know, we've got Metagross to help deal with Calyrex Ice. We've got Moltres to help deal with Calyrex Shadow. We've got Metagross to help deal with Xerneas. So like, we have answers to the things that are going to be really annoying. And so you can kind of argue for not having Wide Guard in that sense. Who is good switch outs for others? I realized I was forgetting to talk about that. I mean, you can kind of switch like, you know, Raichu in for Vaporeon if you need to take like a grass move. You can switch Mewtwo in for Snorlax if you need to take a fighting move. So we kind of have that. You can switch Togekiss in for Zacian if you need to take a ground move, and for like Regieleki, you can switch Zacian into a fairy move if you need to deal with that. And you can also, we don't have a great answer for electric moves, but like, we do have ways to prepare ourselves to beat the electric Pokemon, so that's nice. Again, we have, you know, Yveltal switch in for Cinderace if you really need it, but Cinderace has Libero. And, you know, I guess you can technically switch in Cinderace for Rillaboom if you're worried about, like, a ice move. And, you know, this team has its fair synergies as well with, like, Levitate and the things that I already talked about. So, hope you enjoyed that vid, and, I hope you enjoyed the teams. Please let me know what you think of them. Please do let me know about the background. And yeah, I mean, definitely let me know how you like the teams as well, if you use them, because, you know, we do it for y'all. That's what we're doing. Definitely consider subscribing to the channel if you do enjoy the content, because we are out here, and, you know, I do appreciate y'all helping me grow 150 and beyond. So yeah, peace out, y'all. Have a good one.